$16,747,845,750,000. That is the total U.S. debt as I looked at it on usdebtclock.org. This is approximately $53,072 in debt per citizen. That means your children already hold $53,072 in debt to the government. Since 2008, the U.S. debt has risen almost $8 trillion. In the last 232 years, there's a total of $9 trillion in U.S. debt. In the last 5 years, there has been added $8 trillion more. To control this is going to take sacrifices. And by sacrifices, I'm not talking cutting $250 million from military education or less than $1 million per year from White House tours, while at the same time spending $750 million within 3 weeks on nations that don't like us. I'm talking a massive reduction in government spending and tax reform. Where should we cut spending? Welfare and social programs are the biggest chunk of change for the U.S. It accounts for approximately 56% of our budget. Social programs include Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, Social Security, etc. According to the Washington Times, we spent approximately $1.03 trillion in 2012 on welfare. That's the single biggest expenditure on the government's budget. There has been a 32% increase in welfare spending over the last 5 years. I'm not saying we need to cut welfare completely because I know there's people out there that actually need it. I'm talking putting more restrictions on welfare, time restrictions on how long you can be on welfare, where you can and cannot spend your welfare funds, and actually enforce these rules. Make sure the people that are on it actually need it, is another thing. I would propose a welfare program that pays for everything, including college, for 2 years. Once you hit that 2 years, you're done. This, to me, would be a great model to model our federal welfare after, because someone has the ability to go to school and get a certificate or even an associate's degree and set themselves up for a decent job. Reduce the size of the government overall. The federal government has gotten massive. They are in every aspect of our lives and are the single biggest employer in the world. I highly doubt our founding fathers envisioned a government as big as this monster that we have today. Auditing the Fed and cut spending in everyone's budget that would be considered wasteful would help us in the long run. These cuts may make people unhappy, but doing this is the best way to reduce federal spending. Tax reform is another way to control federal deficit spending. It's been in the news lately that the rich need to pay more in taxes because they make more than everyone else. According to the Washington Times, the top 20% of earners bear approximately 70% of the tax burden. I would think that's more than their fair share. Eliminating the IRS, going to a flat rate tax and/or a national sales tax would ensure everyone paid their fair share of taxes. With a national sales tax, everyone, including foreigners, illegal and legal aliens, would pay a tax on anything they bought in the United States. This would be a huge source of income for the U.S. and could even get rid of our income tax. A flat rate tax would ensure that the tax rate is split evenly amongst everybody. It would close loopholes and exemptions that are often abused, and you would have more compliance from taxpayers. With a combination of spending cuts, government reduction, tax reform, and a little sacrifice from all of us, we could get this debt under control. If we as private citizens have to live within our means, don't you think the government should as well? We have to have our children stuck with this unfair debt before they even know what debt is. It's not only unfair, but dangerous. We need leaders that will take on this challenge and realize we do in fact have a debt problem.